Hey everyone, welcome to another online show of Elevate Your Style. We are here to inspire you, to inspire change, and to talk about showing up powerfully. And today I have a very powerful guest, one of our big influencers. His name is Steve Cedarquest, and I'm going to go ahead and read his bio. I need to put my glasses on to read. But Steve Cedarquest was born and raised in Southern California. The Arcadia native spent his teen years working weekends and holidays with his dad in the custom business before being introduced to full-time into the family business after college. Since then, Steve is a sought-after contractor, and he truly is. He doesn't have time to come to my house. He's so everyone wants him. He's flying all over the world. So first, he rose to stardom working on many celebrities' homes in the late 80s to current, and now on the hit HGTV show Flip or Flop for 3 seasons and 12 episodes. He has become a very savvy businessman who built his flourishing company from the ground up. His approach to remodeling is equally straightforward and refreshing. Rather than walk into a home with his own agenda, Steve really takes time and prefers to connect with his client more on a personal level, which I really like. Steve has owned and operated several construction companies over the years and has remodeled over 500 homes. He personally handpicks every project, whether it's a multi-million-dollar mansion, a multi-family home, or a rundown home in desperate need of TLC. Now with the launch of his new business, Steve Cedarquest Design, he is at the top of his game. With 3 seasons of hit TV shows under his belt, a pilot in the works, and his recent role in the movie is why Steve is being sought after by both celebrities and folks around the country. Steve remains one of the hardest working men in the business. So welcome, Steve. I'm so excited to have you join us today.
Wow, I mean, you pretty much that summed it all up. I think the interview's over. Thank you.
Like
That was awesome. Thank you.
you're great. It's awesome. I'm so excited to have you here. So, tell the viewers a little bit more about you, maybe personal side, 'cause I didn't really touch into that. Tell us. We want to know everything about Steve.
Well, you pretty much summed it up. I'm a general contractor. I'm an electrical contractor. I ran a large construction company here in Huntington Beach for quite some time. Started out a very small company, as you indicated on the bio. I basically was trying to supplement my income. I was a single dad raising 3 kids, and I would, obviously not making a lot of money. I had to totally change. We had my wife at the time. She had we didn't know that she'd suffered from postpartum, and just kind of left the picture. So I was kind of like, there I was with 3 kids. And so the job I had at the time, I was traveling quite a bit. I was running a specialized air freight company in Orange. And I was traveling, like I'd be in New York one day, and then I'd be in Chicago, and then I'd be in Atlanta. So I was traveling 20 days out of the month.
Wow.
That all had to change. I can't do that, being a single parent, raising 3 kids and traveling 20 days a month.
Yeah.
So I had to kind of regroup, go back into my roots. I decided to get back into the construction industry. I had left it for a while. I just, kind of went through a little bit of a just burnout a little bit. My father owned a large interior fabrication company where we did all the insides of like Hilton's, Embassy Suites. We did all the Hilton work in Las Vegas. We did Caesars, Forum Shops. We did a lot of work in Vegas. Vegas was a really big thing for us. So I was up there quite a bit working and running jobs and doing a variety of things for my dad. So with that, I decided to go back into like a, construction and, more of a desk job, though, like a construction management kind of a thing.
Okay. Well, I think you touched on something really strong that we need to talk about, and we haven't talked about it at all in this entire show that I'm doing, and that is being a single father. I've met your kids. Your kids are amazing. I mean, they're grown
Thank you.
and all that, but they are amazing. So I know there's a lot of viewers watching. So if there's some single dads that are watching right now that maybe are struggling or trying to figure out how am I going to do this, what advice would you give them?
Well, I think, being involved with your kids is huge. I think that where the parents miss the mark, I think a lot is, and I think a lot of it is sometimes not their fault, because of work. And I think that we put ourselves in these weird positions because, we're out buying, expensive homes and things like that, or if they're, at a job that doesn't pay a lot, they're trying to, make the money to pay these exuberant rents we're paying nowadays here in, California, Orange County mainly.
Yeah.
And, I just say stay the course. I mean, it's, I volunteered I never played baseball as a kid. I never had those opportunities. Um, but I think what was good about it is like, my son said, hey, I'm going to sign up for baseball. I'm like, oh, that's awesome. And I go to the first meeting and they're like, yeah, we don't have a coach who volunteers. I'm looking around and nobody's volunteering. I'm like, I'm that guy. I'll do it, but it's funny how just the way of the world and God and everything just kind of in creation, how it all works together and like everything. So I'm sitting at a church. I was involved in my daughter was going to Harbor Trinity Church in Costa Mesa, and she introduced me to one of her teachers, Kirk Byromeister. He's now the assistant superintendent of Newport Mesa School District, and he said, hey, come to my men's group. And I'm like, okay, I've never been to a men's group. Okay, I'll come. So I'm sitting at this round table with this men's group that he has, and there's like 6 or 7 other guys there, real small group, and it was more of an accountability group. And I'm telling these guys like, gosh, guys, I volunteered to be a coach, and they're like, oh, that's awesome, man, congratulations. I said, yeah, kind of. I said, but I've never played baseball. So I'm like, I watched Bad News Bears. Am I supposed to do it like that? you know, and they're like, no, you're not. And they're like, do you need help? And I'm like, well, sure. Yeah, I'd love help. They're like, hey, what days do you practice? And I told them on Tuesdays and Thursdays after work. So I remember the first Tuesday I showed up and I'm like, I'm literally like not, I have no idea what I'm going to do. I mean, I get these kids, I have one team meeting with them and I get there and my helper guy that's helping me, he's got the kids all lined up and all that. And it was Randy, myself, and we had a professional baseball player who was on our men's round table, and he's the one that helped me out.
Wow.
And it was so amazing because we were able to help these kids in a positive way. And I remember one thing he would tell me because he saw me, he would let me kind of take the lead, a lot, in regards to what I, regards, coaching the kids. And then he would tell me, he'd say, honestly, he says, don't be mean to the kids. Don't yell. And I'm like, I wasn't trying to, I'm like, run. And you're trying to like be, trying to be a winner, and win the game. And he said, what I'll never forget this. He said to me, they don't care if it's win or lose. It's all about snack. And I go, all about snack? And he goes, yeah. He goes, they don't care. They just, and he was right. They're at that young age and you teach them about that winning's okay, losing's okay. It's okay. And then you bring them really good snacks and they forgot about the game. They bring pizza or whatever. So, it was good because I started meeting some good like family men and learning how to be the man I really wanted to be. I was kind of left out there, being a single parent, going back into a career and so a lot. So, would that happen? It was a good experience. I ended up coaching my daughter's softball team as well. I helped her out with that. And I did, what else I do with my kids? We did Indian guides, we did Cub Scouts, we did Awanas, which is like a Christian Cub Scout.
Yeah.
And, good stuff, just good positive things. So to answer your question, I think it's really important to be involved. I mean, the only thing I struggled with was like when we got to like the little later years and like algebra and like, geometry. I'm like, who uses this stuff? I'm like, I'm trying to study to remember it, because we forget this stuff, I mean, I don't think once I've used algebra once since I've been out of school, but it's all good.
Yeah, I mean, you showed up. This is all about showing up powerfully. You showed up for your kids, even though you had no clue what baseball was, but you put it out there and then you had people coming in to help. And I know for a fact your kids are so grateful for that. And again, this is about showing up powerfully and inspiring change. And I know you inspired all of those kids. And with that being said, with your business, this is all about inspiring change, showing up powerfully, and elevating your style. And one of the reasons you're in your vehicle right now is because you were going from one house to another house, and you still wanted to make time to do this interview. So I appreciate you for showing up. But I do want to ask you the question: what is it that you do when you're working with your homes? How do you feel that you're showing up to really elevate the style of that home that you're working on?
Well, I've always been into design. It's always been kind of my forte. I mean, I am a contractor, but design is, it's just something I think an innate gene that was put in me. I think, my father was very, very artistic and had a real design eye as well. And when I was doing a lot of celebrity homes back in the 80s and stuff, I was, it's funny because I worked with a lot of designers, and it was actually really fun. I mean, I worked with some of the top designers and top celebrities back in the day. And, they would ask me my opinion. Well, what do you think we should do? And I'm like, I would do this or that. And then even the designers at the time were like, dude, that's a great idea. Let's do it. Let's draw it up. Let's do it. And so it kind of led into, when I was doing like a lot of the homes and stuff I was doing, I started out real small because I was raising 3 kids.
Yeah.
And then what happened was I would find myself doing small jobs. Like my neighbor would come over and go, hey, I'm going to remodel my bathroom. I'm like, awesome. I can do that for you. They're like, really? And I'm like, yeah, absolutely. I can do it on, nights and weekends. So I'd make an extra few $1,000s doing that. And then it kind of blew up from there, where I was being sought after again to do more jobs. And then I finally decided, when my kids are a little older, and they kind of really didn't want to hang around dad as much, they're in high school and all that. So what I did is I got back into it. I started out small. My son joined with me. We were just a 2-man crew, and we just, and then we hit the recession. And it was right after like '07, like mid '07, the market started to get a little weird.
Right.
And I started having a lot of banks, start to reach out to me. I was banking at Washington Mutual at the time, and WAMU reached out to me and they said, hey, you're a contractor. Do you do turnarounds and flips? And I said, well, sure. Thinking like, I don't know, okay, what is that? And so I learned, I kind of just saw it, how people were doing it. And what I found in doing that is I could do a better job. I could do a cleaner job, better job, and I could make the property look better for about the same money, but putting putting something into it from your heart,
Yeah.
And so I started doing that for banks. And then I got Fannie and Freddie, the big lenders at the time. I connected with a lawyer. Then the recession hit, and then it was on. I mean, I probably grew 500% in a matter of a year. I mean, it was crazy. I went from 2 employees to 12, to then the next year 24, and then I ended up having like 40. I ended up having like 40 employees. I had day crews, night crews. I was doing work. I was doing receivership work out in Indio because nobody wanted to go out there, and the bank was like, please go out there, And you go out there to Tweakerville, no offense, but sorry if you live in Indio, folks, but there's a lot of tweakers out there in the desert area. And we were like having to lead people out there, and we were taking on apartment buildings that had been deserted. I mean, 24 unit buildings, and just basically being inhabited by just drug dealers and prostitutes. I mean, crazy stuff. So we were doing our own self evictions. We were working with the police, and we were getting people out. We were securing the property, getting it turned around for the buildings. And I just wish I was smart enough at the time to buy all those buildings, because now they're all worth a small fortune, So yeah, I got from there. I went on to watching Flipper Flop on TV. I'm literally sitting there, I'm sitting here watching TV and going, and I'm drinking a Corona, and I'm like, sitting there on the couch, and I'm like, with my son, I go, I can do a better job, and my son's like, well, why don't you text him or get a hold of him somehow? So I found him on Facebook, on Messenger, and I messaged them, and I got an immediate, I mean, I'm not kidding, within 2 minutes, I got a response. They're like, we know who you are. Can you call us tomorrow? And I'm like, sure, and it was actually Christina whom I was communicating with. And I met Tarek the next day, Tarek and Pete, his business partner. And they had me meet him at a house, and they said, what would you do? I said, well, I do this, this, and this, and then how long would it take you? I don't know, 2 weeks. They're like, you're hired. Do the job, get it done. I'm like, okay, cool. So I did it, and I did a house, and I didn't know it was in an association. So I painted the house the outside, and it was the wrong color. Apparently, I had to be like within the association colors. So I ended up beating that paint job, but it was kind of funny how everything's kind of full circle. But
That's
well, it was kind of funny. But the lady who actually told me I had to repaint it was a lady that I did work for at a property management, but technically wasn't very nice at the time. And so she kind of remembered that when she came back. She's like, I remember you. I'm like, oh yeah, I remember you too. So I had to paint it back to the association colors,
well,
which I did.
live and learn, right?
Hey, I live and learn. But Target came. They loved the house. They said, what are you doing on Tuesday? And I go, I don't know, do another house for you? They go, yeah, you're on camera. And I go, oh, okay. And that was season 2.
Okay.
So I met with their production company. I met with all the directors and producers and all that. And then we went over kind of what I was going to do and how I was going to present myself and all that. So that's where I started. The end of season 2, it was my Hilltop Pickup was my first episode.
Wow, that's exciting. So, oh my gosh, that's so exciting. I loved how you again, you showed up, you took a chance and reached out to them and they responded. I had a very similar situation reaching out to someone I saw on TV, and she responded really quickly and has really helped guide me with my career. So I know that can make a huge difference. So for someone watching right now who is interested possibly and maybe starting flips or they're doing flips, I've done flips. I think that it's so much fun. I love it.
Mm-hmm.
What advice would you give to one of our viewers watching right now about just where to start or just any advice you can think of?
Well, I think the issue right now is in California. It's really hard. I mean, all the what we were getting even 2 years ago, the market was still affordable. But I think what's happened is inventory is low.
Yes.
You've got a lot more. A lot of these people from HGTV have gone out and done these seminars and have created all these new investors.
Yes.
And the problem with that is it's not a problem. I shouldn't say not a problem. Well, kind of a problem, but not really. But I would just say really do your homework. I mean, the numbers are so tight. You can't. There's no real room for error, margin for error, especially like in Orange County. I mean, these houses you're so tight and you got so much competition. You got to take into account every aspect. I mean, down to your taxes at the end. If you're not a real estate agent, you got to figure your fees in that. If you're doing hard money, you got to figure out your hard money percentages. I mean, it all counts up. I mean, it adds. And next thing you know, you're like, oh, gosh, I thought I was making 50 grand. Now I'm making about 8 grand. It's just, you really got to watch your numbers. So I just say, and be smart. I mean, it's worth, if you seriously want to do this, make sure you do that inspection on that home. Make sure. I mean, it's hard. And especially like if you're doing like things like auction homes, that's hard because you don't get an opportunity to see these homes. And you get people that are pissed that leave their home, and sometimes they do some serious damage, or they take the cabinets and they take off. Typical, they would, a newer home that somebody move out of, and they would take the cabinet doors or the drawers out and, just stuff like that. I mean, someone like me, I know where to get that stuff. It's different.
I remember there was a home that we got from auction, and I remember walking in, and first of all, it was the worst scent I've ever smelled in my life, but they had literally taken out all the cabinets. Like, where'd everything go? So yeah, it can be risky, but it can be exciting and challenging and fun. And I thought it was, except for the smelly houses, I thought it was fun.
Those are my favorite, actually. I like a house that's like nobody wants to buy. And I used to come across ones that were like, I mean, you're right. Back in like 08, 9, and 10, I'd go to brand new houses and people would literally, they would steal. I've had people come in and they've actually stole all the wiring in the house. I mean,
I was going to say they stole wire too, all the wiring.
Oh yeah, wiring. They steal the water heater. I mean, they literally strip the house down to the bones. And they're like, I've met so many investors that have just been like, what's nice about it now though is, the investors, I still deal with 4 or 5 of them personally, the ones that I want to keep. The rest of them I don't want to keep because they don't know what they're doing. And
Yeah.
They end up losing money, and I can't do that. It's hard, and they want the job for nothing, and it's like, dude, you bought this thing,
Yeah.
you were way overpaid. So good luck. There's some guys in front of Home Depot. Good luck with your project.
Right.
The investors I have, they typically just throw me the keys. They just say, where are we at? I go look at it, tell them, you need X dollars to do it. You want to do it or not? And they throw me the keys and say, handle it, because they know when I'm done, our houses, they don't last on the market. They go 24 to 72 hours max, and we usually have multiple offers.
Right.
It's all about doing them right, doing the right design, staging them properly.
Yes.
I'm all about staging properties. I think that's huge.
Yeah, it is huge. I always want to stage my house.
Absolutely, right?
Yeah.
They do such a nice job. You're like, wow, why can't my house look like this? Yeah.
Always I'm staging the house, and yeah, people don't understand, like, what are you doing? But it does look so nice. I mean, just even like the lemons in the kitchen, just adds that pop. So
I know, right? It's those colors. Yeah. Kevin's my stager, and he does an amazing job as always.
yeah, I agree. Yeah, very good. Okay, so tell everyone before we close, what would you, if you could go back in time, what would you tell your 10-year-old self?
Save money and buy property. No, I'm just kidding. Buy it cheap. Tell my dad not to sell the Balboa Island house for $75,000. Yeah, I mean, yeah, right.
Yeah.
I tell my 10-year-old self, I think would be, it took me a long time to learn this. Let's not be so hard on myself. I used to take everything personally, and I'd always want to please everybody. And one thing I will say is, like, I don't know if you know who Leo Pascaglia is. He was the professor of love at USC, and he has a really good fruit analogy about kind of our life. And I love sharing this example. It's like, I'm a peach. You know what I mean? I really used to feel that, I wanted everybody to love me, and I'm a peach, and I'm so delicious, and you'll love me if you know me. But the bottom line is, there's a lot of people that don't like peaches.
Right.
They like bananas. So what I would do is I would try to conform. I would take this peach and I'd smash it to try to make it look like a banana. But you know what? I'm still a peach.
Yeah.
So you know what? You got to just be yourself and be
Yeah.
confident in who you are. And if the right people will come and be attracted to you and be in your life, if they're not the right people, bye-bye. And that's cool. People come and go for your life for a reason, right?
Yes, and this is what I've learned too. Number one, that we're always going to have a tribe of followers, and we're always going to have a tribe of haters. And I've learned that when we have a tribe of haters, we're doing our job. But I do want you to know, Steve, I love peaches, so I'm so glad you're a peach, because I love.
Thank you. I knew we connected for some reason, right?
Exactly. Okay, so I don't know if you can give out any information. I know a lot, but I'm not going to say anything, so I'm going to leave it up to you. What does your future look like? Because I'm so excited with the projects you're working on.
Well, thank you. Well, I've got a book. I was asked, I was approached by a publishing company to write a book about my life and about kind of like rising up above, the adversities that I've been through in my life. And it's been really interesting. I mean, it's getting in the final stages. It should be out by December. I mean, it's crazy, because they've been interviewing people, and it's funny because they've asked me, like, who can we interview? And I gave them a list of people, and they call me back and they go, this person really doesn't like you very much. And I go, I know. That's why I gave you their name and number. And they're like, really? And I'm like, yeah, because my goal in this book is just to be real and transparent. And there's always, like you said, there's always going to be people that don't like you. They're either it's a jealousy thing, or they don't like your success, or whatever. They just don't like peaches, right? And I'm okay with that. And so I wanted a real perspective. I wanted people to be able to pick up that book and say, wow, he's transparent, he's real. Yes. So the book is going to be amazing. I've got a new project. I've signed a deal with Rio Vista Universal, which is a company that production company, and we're doing a new show. The show is going to be helping veterans and first responders who got injured or serving in a line of duty. Amazing. Can't go any further than that on that one. I'm working on a new project with Slade and Gretchen from Housewives. Working on a project with them, and I've got 2 more projects that I'm tentatively working with Rio Vista right now on, and we're creating it's going to be great. Yeah. So look at my show. Byron Chamberlain from the Denver Broncos is going to be my co-star in the Veterans show. got that going on, and I'm bought into a new company called Simply Stunning Spaces. You guys can find them online. They're in San Diego. We're expanding to Orange County. We're a design team, and we're going to be in Huntington Beach, a new showroom. We're actually building it. That's where I was this morning, checking it out. I love opening up a wall and you find all this electrical and you're like, really? Where was that at? So it's just more cost than I anticipated. But I got that going on, and I'm just, I'm loving life. I'm loving life and life's terms and having a good time and having fun.
Well, I'm very, very excited for you. I'm really
Thank
excited
you.
for the show, and I know you and I have talked a little bit about that, and potentially, hopefully, I can help with that too. And just the thought of helping veterans and first responders totally motivates me because I'm all about philanthropy and helping people and making a change. My mission is to change 1 million lives.
Yeah, absolutely.
Over the course of the next 2 years, and I know that you're working towards that. I'm excited about your project with Gretchen and Slade. I love them. I love Gretchen. She's such a doll. So I congratulate you with all your projects, and I can't wait to read your book. I know
Thank you.
I want a signed copy from my Pete. Okay.
You'll get it. Absolutely.
And that's going to be your new nickname for me, Peaches. So.
Okay.
So tell everyone if they want to reach out to you on social media or get a hold of you on a website, how can they do that?
On Facebook, you can reach me out at Steve Cedarquist Designs or Steve Cedarquist or The Real Steve Cedarquist. On Instagram, I'm Steve Cedarquist. On the other one, what's the other one called? Twitter, sorry, I got brain fade there. It's Cedarquist Steve. Don't ask me how that figured into there. My publicist figured that one out. I don't know. But that's it. I'm real transparent. Get a hold of me.
Yeah. Okay. So I think we may have lost you for some reason. So I'm going to say goodbye to everyone. And if you would like to ask any questions, reach out to me at jenniferschultzstyle.com. Thank you to my Peaches. I don't know if you can still hear me, Steve, but I'm just continuing and we're saying goodbye. There you are. We've got you back.
I'm back. Sorry about that. Yeah.
We lost you. But thank you so much for your time. Thank you for, being raw and authentic with us. I really do appreciate that. And thanks again to all of our people, all the viewers watching, and please feel free to reach out with any questions. I've been trying to leave everyone with a challenge. Is there any kind of challenge you could give them as far as home design that you can, give them a little challenge?
Well, I think that, just be open-minded to colors and be open-minded. And I know a lot of people, if it's for design for a house, if it's for your personal house, go with what you feel is right. I mean, go whatever. I mean, I'm all about like own individual design. If you're going to be doing designing for like a home, you're like trying to sell, remember, you're not going to live there. Try to keep it very generic and very like broad where it appeals to the masses. That's huge. I've fired some many clients. Yes, I fired them because they're just like, oh, I want to paint the wall purple. I'm like, no, don't. You can't do that. It looks good to you, and you love purple, the peach thing, right? Yeah. And they do that. So just be, kind of keep that in mind. That's all. And if they have any, they can reach out to me. I'm glad to give them free advice over the internet. They need me to come out, that's a different story. But for you, I'll come out since you said I wouldn't come out to your house. I'd come out and help you.
Okay, perfect. I'll take you up on that. Okay. So
all right, cool.
Guys, we want you to, respond to us and tell us what your greatest challenge in your home is, or what you're going to do to create that environment that gives you that design that Steve was talking about that you really love. So thanks again, Steve. Thanks again to everyone. You all have $1 million day, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Make wise choices.
Yes.